Bill says it's preparing, but I think we're okay. All right, so today is January 7th, 2025. Oh my goodness, Happy New Year. We're back on track with Tuesday Talks, and my name is Christina Dillabo. I'm the Director of Communications for the Desert Southwest Conference. This is your first time watching Tuesday Talks or joining us live. Welcome. This changes a little bit sometimes. For the most part, it's me sharing, here's some new stuff. Don't forget about this. You'll want to do this. And my audience is you, the pastor, the church communicator, the church staff person. So we record this so that you have it as a resource later on in case you forgot something or whatever. And for people that can't join live because of other meetings or whatnot, you can come back and watch this recording. But I also always send follow-up notes. So anything that I cover, I'm going to email it to you, the clergy, the church staff, the communication liaison person, with the links to all the stuff that I'm talking about. You can always respond to that email and ask me more questions, or if there's something else you want to cover. Like I know one of our churches last year, that sounds so great to say, way back last year, but it wasn't that long ago, had asked about Google Grants, and I didn't forget. It's on my to-do list, but I needed to get some other stuff going today. So let's get into it. All right. So the first thing that I want to share with you is about the prayer list. So some of our churches, I think most of our churches, tend to share um, who we're going to pray for this week or this month uh, in regards to other churches. So it's separate from your regular prayer requests and things that you might have. So I wanted to show you, if you go to dscumc.org and scroll down to the districts, so I'm just going to pick West District. I should have picked North District because I was first right there. You can, and all of the district pages are formatted the same way. We've got hyperlinks here, upcoming events, recent news there. But you could either click here on prayer focus to get down to the resources section. Actually, I'll do that, or just scroll down. And so you would come down to this area where it's got prayers for churches. So this hasn't changed much from last year's prayer order for what churches you should list or be praying for each month. The only changes were removing churches that have closed. And we just found out about um, some, well, one that we weren't really aware of uh, yesterday. So keep that in mind. I mean, we're keeping it updated with the information that we get. Churches aren't closing every day, so it should be pretty accurate, but maybe we missed one that had closed before. Um, if you have questions, you can always email us to communications@dscumc.org. Questions about that? All right, next one is about the Zoom licenses. So um, if you were to go to dscumc.org/Zoom, it'll bring you right to this page and it scrolls you right on down to the Zoom license registration form. A lot of churches have been using this. Basically, this is the month where the conference has to renew our Zoom account, and that's going to pay for all of the webinar licenses, the large meeting licenses, our even larger license that we use for live streaming annual conference, and what I'm using now for this. So the reason why I'm showing this, it's been in the newsletter week after week, and it'll be in tomorrow's newsletter. But I wanted to clarify a few things. So if your church already uses Zoom, but it's not through the Desert Southwest Conference, maybe you go directly through Zoom, you can go ahead and purchase a license here instead of paying Zoom. You can use the same email address that you use through Zoom, and you'd basically be transferring your license. But the first thing you would do is fill out this form so that we're aware that we need to add you to our account. And so instead of renewing, it sounds like you're renewing because you already had a Zoom license, but you're actually selecting a new license with the Desert Southwest Conference. So it would be this one. And then you'd put all the information for you to get the receipt. That would be this one here, and then your church name. And if you're only getting one license and you only put in the one Zoom email address that you want to use, and you would type in one. If you're going to buy 6 licenses, 8 licenses, whatever, type in that quantity number there, and then that'll adjust the price. It's 120 per license. And then you put each unique email address that you want the 8 licenses to go to in this area. Um, any other comments? I would suggest if this is that you're transferring your email or your Zoom license to Desert Southwest Conference, put that in here. Transferring. We already have a license. Oops, license through Zoom, but want to switch to DSE-UMC. Anything like that to help make it clear what you're intending to do. Sometimes churches have a Zoom license through the conference and they want to switch it to a different email address, but they're renewing. That's when you would do this one instead, renewing and changing the email address. So you could put your email for the Zoom license here and it would be the one or however many you have. And any details about we're changing this email to this new email for our Zoom license, anything at all like that to make it clear. So I hope that's understandable. One of the other things that I get questions about with the Zoom licenses is, well, if we already had a Zoom license on our own and we're transferring, are we going to lose all of our recorded meetings? Are we going to lose our reoccurring meeting links? You won't lose that stuff. But you're going to get an option. Well, there's 2 things that happens. So when you transfer over, you might get some question where you have to say yes or no. Do you want to save all this stuff and transfer it over? You'd say yes. You're definitely going to get another question. If your license hasn't expired, you're going to need to say yes to getting a refund because now you're paying us $120 for the Zoom license, but you already paid for whatever amount. So maybe you have half a year left in your Zoom license. You don't need the options are to either for you to get a refund or to transfer the remaining balance to your new account owner. You don't need to do that. We're already charging you the 120. You just want your church to get a refund for the remaining balance. So January would be the month to make that switch if you want to make a switch of switching over to Desert Southwest Conference Zoom. In February, if you decide you want to do that, you might still be able to do that, but you're not going to pay any less than the 120. That's why January is the time to do it. January is when I have to pay for all of the licenses that we've ordered in January. At the end of the month, I have to do our renewal. And so I'm trying to only renew with those licenses that have been paid for this month. So if you're thinking about it, now's the time. Hurry up, talk to your finance people, whoever it is you need to talk to switch it over. Do that now so that we can make sure we have enough licenses for you. Otherwise, I can't guarantee if we had 50 orders and so that's all I paid for at the end of the month, February, 5 more people want licenses. I think I can get the 5 more licenses, but I can't guarantee it because we're on contract too. And so at any point, Zoom can decide, no, you only get the 50 licenses at that price because it's a screaming deal. Like it's anybody else is paying way more than that. So keep that in mind. Questions about that part? No? Okay. So now let's move on to the lay members to annual conference and alternates. So for this part, I'm showing you our subscribe page. So pastor, church secretary, communicator, lay leader, maybe whoever it is that normally would help guide your lay member to annual conference and your alternate lay members to annual conference, ask them to fill out the subscribe form. It's dscumc.org/subscribe. Enter the email address that they use to get their emails. If they don't have an email account, number one, you might consider a different layperson to annual conference because you really need to be able to access your email. That's how we're going to be sending information to them. about like registration, about what they're going to be voting on, all that stuff. So they need to enter this in, because after they fill it out, they're going to get an email at whatever address they put in here, um, to click and confirm their subscription. After that, then now MailChimp can go ahead and start sending them any news that we send them. So the things that they really want to get is the Desert Southwest Conference Weekly Digest. Um, that's what I would recommend. Then they get all of our news, but they could also just do Annual Conference Sessions Committee. That's going to be stuff about annual conference only. Um, I think it would be great for them to also subscribe to their district newsletter, whichever it may be. And I mean, if they want to know what the bishop has to say, maybe include that one as well. But at the minimum, it would be the annual conference sessions committee. That's where they're going to get any news from the planning team of annual conference. And I'd say weekly digest because there could be things for annual conference that maybe a different team published. It wasn't annual conference sessions committee, but maybe it was the team that's planning the youth events, that they want to send something special. I don't know. That's a bad example, but you know who? Board of Ordained Ministry always schedules a orientation to ministry event during annual conference or right around annual conference. So that's a whole different committee, and it's not really about annual conference, but it's very closely related to annual conference since that's when we ordain new clergy. So they wouldn't get that information if they're only subscribed to annual conference sessions committee. By subscribing to Desert Southwest Conference Weekly Digest, they'll get that important information. And we never know who might be thinking about if God's calling them to ministry. So I would strongly suggest these two. But if they really hate getting emails, then at least this one, the Annual Conference Sessions Committee. Questions about that? Okay. So again, it's your lay members to annual conference. But I think it would be great to also send it to your alternates because although they're not having to register right now, they may not be voting ever. It's good for them to keep up to date with what's been happening in case at some point they are called to step in for their lay member to annual conference. Okay, so the next thing is about training. So, oh, wait a minute. The other thing that I wanted to show you about annual conference is this is the homepage for the event annual conference. There's not a whole lot in it right now. And right now in this block here, legislation writing tool is just a training video that we're repurposing in case anyone at your church wants to write a resolution, I don't know, a petition, a rule change, whatever. They could watch this to learn a little bit more about what goes into doing that work. So you can certainly share this if you want to. You can share this link with the lay members to annual conference. I think, oh, I don't have a subscribe button. I'm going to add that in here. In the quick links, I think I'll add a subscribe to get annual conference news. So that might make it easier for you. I don't know. But anytime that you're looking for some information about annual conference, this is where it's going to live. We do send it through the newsletter. Here's the older news that we sent out related to annual conference, and these are last year's quick links. So this will start populating with more news as things come up. But because we can only show so many news items, you can't really rely on this as like, I don't want to subscribe to anything. I'll just check this page when I feel like it to see what's new, because they might miss some of the older entries. You can click on it, but it's just a lot more, you have to be proactive. So I don't recommend that. So the other thing I wanted to show you was about the training. So now's the time that by now, I think all churches have finished having their charge conference or church conferences where you elect your new finance chair, your trustees chair, whatever. So if your church is one of those churches that has new people in leadership positions, you're going to want to send them to this dscumc.org training page. This side here in the gray is the blog listing of any articles we've published lately on trainings that are coming up. But on this right-hand side is where you can see these are old training videos, but it's the people that are in there. It might be an old district superintendent. It might be an old, actually, even finance. I think we had Randy Bowman doing that training, but the content itself is still correct. It's still going to be about what the staff parish relations chair needs to know. It's just going to be from, I don't know, from a previous district superintendent, maybe. So send them here to look at the videos, and there's PDFs that go with it. I'm especially showing you this because there's also, for simplified structure, the videos by Kay Katan and somebody else. I can't remember who else was in it. They had a single video. Oh, I didn't add it. I'm going to add it in here. There was a single video that they had about simplified structure, and somebody was asking me about, well, what's the other video? Because it's two videos. So I'll add it here. I thought I had it in there and I don't. Um, but I will send it to you all in my follow-up notes as well. So anyway, check this out if you have somebody that is new to any church position, and if there's something that isn't there that you wish we had, you can click on this one. Oh wait, no, that's the cultural competency. Sorry. Email communications@dscumc.org to ask for a different training. That's all I was going to show you. Oh, okay. One last thing. I was working on our conference newsletter. I was trying some different things. I thought maybe it'd be good to have a little quick links to the articles that are coming up, but it just seems like it's way too much. That's my opinion, but I'm going to ask our communications commission to review this. But I wanted to show you that I'm also starting at the bottom here a section. This section here is going to be about general conference and the pending amendments. I'm not going to change it. It's links to the Resource UMC page, and there's a lot more information there. I have these three linked in my digest, but there's related resources. So keep that in mind if anybody at your church is wanting to know about the upcoming petitions. No, it's not upcoming. It's the pending amendments because these things were passed, but they're not fully passed. These are going to need to be voted on by the next round of delegates from every conference at General Conference to finish passing it. No, it's not the next round of delegates. It's every annual conference. I'm so sorry. It's every annual conference. Every vote matters. So they're not going to say, okay, Desert Southwest Conference approved it at their last annual conference. It's how many votes from Desert Southwest Conference approved it, how many votes from whatever other conference, and then all those votes added together, it has to pass a certain ratio, and then they can pass or not pass. So regionalization, racial justice, that Article 4 one, the about adding gender and ability to paragraph 4, Article 4, that passed, but it's not fully ratified yet. So I'm mentioning that because you're going to see a lot more information about this stuff coming up. And then the other new section is other resources. So I link to the general agency that publishes the item, and then the article that I want to call your attention to. So some of it like Lenten worship. There's the pending amendments. That's about this one. Do's and don'ts. So Human Relations Day, Sunday resources, the leadership resources, the leader kit, all that stuff. So these things I'm not going to change until this one's going to stay like this for a good while. You'll see it for a few weeks. This one's going to be updated as I get more information from other agencies. I'm doing this instead of creating separate articles like this for each item, because I'm hoping this way I can provide more information on a regular basis and recurring important information without having to add a bunch of, so that it looks different each time, is my hope. You have questions about that? Okay, that's all I have, and I'm not seeing, that's why I didn't stop sharing because, oh, there it is. I've got a huge desktop now, and so I couldn't see, like, where's the stop share button? That's all I have. I hope you all have a great rest of your week. If y'all have questions about anything else, I'm happy to address that now. Okay, then I'll see you next week.